Hello everyone, this is Anwar الزاهي from Smart English. Today I'm gonna take you for a short period of time talking about TOEFL IBT reading section, exactly the inference question. I know that you are struggling with this TOEFL type of question because it's very deceiving and sometimes needs more time to focus on it. So I promise you after watching this video you will very familiar with this question and accurately answer this easily and faster. Let's move on to see how we can answer this question. The inference question is a kind of question that you face in your TOEFL test today in reading section. On each reading passage, you can expect at least one question of this kind, okay? Per passage. Sometimes there is more than one, but not common. This chapter is important to help you answer them. Number one, first of all, what is inference? What is the definition of the question inference? An inference is a conclusion you draw based on evidence, okay? You draw a conclusion, an imagination of the result according to the provided information into the passage. By the way, it is not a blind guess, okay? It is not a blind guess that you have to work your mind and imagine what is the suitable conclusion to the provided information into the passage. It's using the information you read to draw a logical and reasonable conclusion to what you have read into the passage. Okay, here is some examples about what I mean here. Example number one, the woman rushed around looking frantically for her passport. Okay, a woman rushed around to search for her passport. So what can you infer? Okay, work with me. You can infer that she is taking a trip outside of the country. Okay, she is traveling abroad because she is searching for her passport. She needs it badly. So she is intending or she is planning to travel outside the country. This is what I mean by drawing a conclusion according to the provided information. Okay, if we have another example like this, the boy used the sign language to communicate with the teacher. What is the suitable conclusion to this? We can infer that the boy is deaf or maybe blind with disabilities, okay? Because he used the sign language, okay? So now it's clear for you that is the conclusion should relate to the provided information. The conclusion should be reasonable and accepted, okay, after you think deeply into this provided information into the passage, okay? Let's move on to see what is the formation, the features of the question into the exam. It will be provided into the test today like this. You will face this kind of question by this feature. Which of the following can be inferred about X? Okay, what can be inferred about X? The author implies that X. Which of the following can be inferred from paragraph number 1 about X? It can be inferred that X affects Y by blah blah, okay? What does the author suggest about X? All of these features can be mentioned into the test today like an inference question. An inference question can be identified by the fact that use the word infer as we said here, or the word suggested, inferred, implies. All these verbs can be shown into the exam. The author implies as a reader infer. This means you must look beyond the word that are given in the passage. And this is very crucial and important point here. Because the tester, I always make sure that you understand this point because this is the core of the question, okay? That means the tester or the grader of the test always intend, or he, by the way, put this literally, to understand your ability to draw a very suitable and reasonable conclusion to what he mentioned into the passage. He wants you to think deeply and to go further beyond the words, not exactly to understand directly the fact into the audio. He needs you to go further and think deeply what is the reasonable reference or inference according to the questions or the things mentioned into the passage, and make a conclusion about what is true based on the information you read. So now, what are the strategies that you can use to make it easy to deal with this question into the test today into TOEFL reading section? Number one, and you have to pay me your attention here because we are going to talk about a very serious elements. Okay, number one, read the question carefully. And here's a highlighted on carefully because it is a serious point to understand well. What does the grader or the tester needs you to do? Understand the question well, because one of the most important steps that leads to the wrong choice is to misunderstand the question. What does it mean? What does he need me to do? You will know it is an inference question because it will contain the word like, imply, as we said before, infer, suggest, or inference, identify the keywords in the question. This is very important point to make a highlight or take some keywords that leads to a right answer, because if you have some keywords that's related to the topic you are dealing with or the question you are dealing with in the text, okay, you can find faster where is the suitable answer, and you infer the suitable conclusion about what provided into the passage. Number two, look back at the paragraph indicated by the question starting at the beginning of the paragraph. There is a very critical point, because if you didn't look back and focus on the paragraph indicated into the question, you may sometimes mischoose the right answer. Sometimes you can use your skill like skimming or maybe scanning, but skimming is preferable here in this point. Look for the keywords for the question, search also for synonyms, another meaning to the words, into the keywords. Slow down sometimes and read those sentences carefully, as well as several sentences, okay? You have to read more and more sentences before and after the keywords to have a whole imagination to what provided into the passage according to the information. It's important to know that you must read further than you do for detailed question. Okay, and let me illustrate what is the difference between detailed question and inference question. Detailed question needs to focus in every word, so you have to use the strategy of scanning. But in the inference question, you do the opposite, because you don't have to focus in every word, okay? Just use the skimming strategy in reading, because you don't have to search for every detailed information into the passage. Let's move on to see strategy number 3. It's about look at your answer choice. Look at the 4 choices and read them carefully again, okay? To make some conclusion about is this right or no. I can eliminate this one because it's very unsuitable. It is not convenient to the topic. Okay, I will eliminate this because it is not aggressively eliminate the right choice. Something like this is going on in your mind. So look at your answer choices and read them carefully. Choose the one that can be inferred from the paragraph. Choose the choice that represents a conclusion into the paragraph, while aggressively eliminating TOEFL traps, okay? Aggressively means hard, eliminating, knockout. It's clear that this sentence or this choice will be eliminated. It's clear, okay? There is no hesitation. There is no doubt in this one. If you find a sentence like this, just eliminate it. Now, this moved us or take us to talk about TOEFL traps. Too many traps you will face in your examination to talk about these traps. Okay, number 1. First of all, I would like to say that all of these traps, you have to learn them and understood them to just avoid making them into the TOEFL reading section. The answer contains information beyond what is given in the passage. It's really just a fact, because the answer didn't ask you directly to the main idea or conclusion, okay? But it needs further information and deeper thinking, okay? Don't pick an answer that contains information beyond what appears in the passage. It's clear now. Answer that required you to take a guess at what is possible if you assume a few other things to be true or not correct. okay? If there is an answer that leads you to the probability that this answer may be true or not, don't choose it. Let's move on to see the next trap that faces you in your TOEFL reading section. Number 2, the answer could be true, okay? You may be tempted to use your common sense, okay? And here is a very important point, that your common sense is not always correct in choosing the right answer in TOEFL reading, okay? But you should pick an answer that is based on evidence, and if you find an evidence to illustrate that your answer is right or wrong, this is the right one. If you have a clue that you can depend on for your choice, it means that your choice is correct. So pay attention to this point. It's a good habit to ask yourself, can I show someone else where I got the information I used to answer the question? If you find a reasonable reason to why you choose this answer and you can explain it to others, that means that you choose the right one. Okay, it's clear now? If you have the reason that you based on in your choice, it means that I understand why I choose this sentence. So if I can explain it to others, so make sure that your choice is correct. Number 3, the answer looks very appealing, but it is not correct. Okay, what does it mean, this sentence? It means that your answer has some certain vocabs and keywords that mentioned into the passage, but it is talking about something away. Its tune is away, far away of the right answer or the good conclusion to the provided information into the passage, okay? This is common in TOEFL traps. These trap answer repeat words, okay? There is repeated words you saw in the passage. The same words in the passage is mentioned into the choice, okay? But remember, the correct answer must reflect an inference, not the same word. So we can sum up that if you find a sentence with a certain words that mentioned exactly into the passage, it is not the right answer. It is an correct answer. So don't choose the sentence that contains the same words into the passage. Make sure that this answer is not correct. Number 4, the answer contains extreme language. Words like never, forever, always, all, impossible, completely, totally, none, the best, the worst, entirely, and so on are extreme modifiers, as we said before in the previous video. There is also extreme wording, such as it has reached its limit, it is certain, and so on. If you see choices like this, be cautious. The answer may be correct, okay? If you have some modifiers and also some extreme words like this that mentioned previously, this means that the answer may be correct. But in the same time, okay, it may be deceiving you because it's a tricky question or a tricky answer. It's less likely to be correct unless it is clear from the reading. So make sure that all of these extreme words and these extreme modifiers, or all the modifiers, 4 kinds of modifiers, if they are mentioned into one choice, you have to focus and you have to add that they should be correct if they related to something into the passage. Let's move on to number 5. The answer has the wrong tune. Okay, here is very clear that if the tester or the author of the passage is talking about a desert animal, okay, say it is a desert animal, and according to the 4 choices, you find the same words mentioned into the paragraph or the text, but it's talking about a cold areas animal. A cold areas animal is not belonging to the topic that I'm dealing with, because I'm dealing with the desert animals, okay? So why he mentioned a cold areas animal? It is not relevant to it. So if he exactly mentioned the same words into the passage in this choice, but it's talking about something not belonging to the whole topic of the passage, This answer is completely incorrect. So be cautious of this, okay? Number 6. The answer is not true or not mentioned. Some answer will be untrue because it is not mentioned exactly. Completely it is not mentioned into the passage or the paragraph. According to the passage, some answer choices will add an idea or information that is not mentioned. So be careful because this answer will use vocabulary from the passage. As I said before, it is a repeated point here because he will use the same vocabulary into the passage but with another idea doesn't relate it to the topic. This is the time of practicing now. So pay me your attention and focus on this example. Look at this simple example and try to read it with me, but in skimming, okay? Temperature in desert can soar over 40 degrees Celsius, making several changes in animals that live in blah blah. Many animals migrate, but this remains in the desert during the hottest part of the summer. Must take refuge when the sun is at its peak. Okay, a cactus wren may rest quietly in the shade of mesquite tree. A prairie falcon will nest on a ledge of cool north-facing cliff and avoid the hot of south face. The big-cat builds its own microclimate by digging a burrow and covering it in stick and the dry leaves. When temperatures are particularly high, the kangaroo rat will dig a tunnel and plug its entrance with soil, leaving only a night to seek out food. As you can see from this example, it's about temperature conserving into desert animals, how they can refuge in places and stay cool for a long time against the sunlight. Okay, this is the general idea of the topic. Okay, and he, by the way, giving examples about some animals like a cactus, the falcon, maybe some trees like cactus, prairie falcons, or kangaroo, something like this, okay? Let's move on to the question itself. And now here is a very important point. I'd like you to focus with me and pay me your attention completely to know how we can infer the right answer, how we can answer this question. Number 1, we have to read the question carefully. It can be inferred from the paragraph that all of the places desert animal take refuge in. What are the features of these places, not the animals? Take care here. The places can the animal take as a refuge, okay? What are the description of it? So now, number 1, you have to read the example, the question carefully and understand well what does it mean. So he is asking us here about a conclusion or an inference about what is the features or the merits or the characteristics of the places that the animal take while the direct sun are there as a refuge, okay? Number 2, you have to focus on the keyword. The places, this is a keyword, okay? And refuge, okay, as a shelter for them, to protect them from the sunlight, okay? Desert animal also. Let's get or read the 4 choices and then move to the passage. Number 1, are not used after the sunset. It is not used after the sunset. Are out of direct sunlight. Provide a hiding place for predators. Give the animals a place to store food. Okay. Directly, when you would like to eliminate, and this is also a strategy you have to start with, you directly eliminate number 4. It is not convenient because he doesn't talk about the storing food. He doesn't talk about all of the paragraph. It is not mentioned that he talked about storing food for animals, okay? If you search here, he will talk about food here at the end of the paragraph. But to seek out food, okay, not to seek out for food, it means for age food, to search for the food, okay? It is not mentioned here to store food, okay? This is number 1, okay. Already providing a hiding place from predator. It is an exemplified answer for talking about one of the traps that mentioned previously to mention some words mentioned into the paragraph, or may you are talking about an information didn't mentioned into the paragraph. He didn't talk about a hiding place from predators. Okay, it is already true that they use these refuge places to hide themselves against the predators, but it is not mentioned into the passage. If you search into the passage or the paragraph, you will not find this information. Okay, here it is not mentioned totally. Okay, so now we have two choices. Number one, are not used after sunset, and number two, are out of direct sunlight. Okay, let's move on to search of whether of them. If you focus more here for the answer, he says that here during the hottest part of the summer must take refuge. Okay, look at this point here. This point is very important. Look at this. During the hottest part of the summer must take refuge when the sunlight is at its peak. What does it mean, it at its peak? It means directly into the sunlight, directly to this animal, facing the sunlight directly without any protection. So this word, it means that are out of the sunlight, direct sunlight. It means this is the right answer. Why you choose number two? Because two, it gives us another meaning to describe the places that desert animal use. And one of the merits and the characteristics of these places that the animal use to protect themselves from the sunlight is to be out of the sunlight. Okay? Covered maybe in cold cushioning areas, maybe in a shadow places, something like this. So this is the right answer. I can infer that this place should be out of the direct sun. If it is not, how can animals protect them from being into the sun? Okay, so the right answer here is number B. This is a kind of inference question. This is the way that you have to deal with this kind of question. I think that it's clear in your mind that you have to put a suitable conclusion of what you are thinking into the TOEFL reading, IBT TOEFL reading exam. Exactly the inference question. I hope that you understood what I'm saying today. Thank you for your watching. If you need any help, do not hesitate to contact us on WhatsApp on the number on the screen now. See you in another video. Goodbye.